No matter what your organization does, change can be tricky. But change is part of organizational life. Our world is changing faster than ever, and the astute leader must understand change and how to manage it. In this video series, we'll look at several techniques that you can use to be more effective with change. Last month, we talked about giving choice to staff so that they feel a level of control, because having control activates the brain's reward center. This month, let's look at the importance of acknowledging the stress of change. Let's start with this reminder about the brain. You see, your brain is designed to compare what it experiences in this moment with what it has experienced in the past. And as long as today is as your brain has predicted, then the brain remains calm. But change departs from the past. So when your brain picks up that something has changed, it activates the threat response in the brain, and that creates stress. And stress can escalate into stress. Perhaps you've noticed that no matter the intensity of stress, it takes a surprising amount of energy to suppress it. Have you ever heard those voices in your head that are trying to convince yourself, there's really nothing to worry about. We needed this change anyway. I'll come through it just fine. And you go over it again and again and again in your head, sometimes in the middle of the night. And there's nothing you can do to convince those voices that it's all okay. Change can create that kind of stress and anxiety. Today, based on fMRI studies and other brain imaging techniques, we know that suppressing that stress, it doesn't work. You can't convince the voices that it's all okay. In fact, all that suppression does is sap your energy resources that are needed for cognitive processing and memory. Some of the research actually shows that when you try to suppress something negative, not only does it not work, but the suppression activates the threat response in the brain. The harder you work at suppressing your worry, the worse you make it. So what's the alternative? As it turns out, the solution is relatively simple. You see, the same research that demonstrates that simply acknowledging emotional reactions, that stress, dissatisfaction, your concern, or discomfort, acknowledging those feelings calms the threat response in the brain. So rather than try to suppress it, acknowledge the stress. As a leader, you need to pay attention to how change impacts your staff emotionally. If someone seems worried, then acknowledge it out loud. You might say, it seems like something's bugging you. Can we talk about it? Notice when people become agitated or irritable and try to talk with them about it. They may be trying to suppress their concerns. You can bring it up. You can help them articulate it, and that's going to calm down the threat response. And when we talk about concerns and fears, again, those simple acknowledgments of the feeling calms the brain. A calm brain moves on to productive thinking. So the next time you sense discomfort with change, remember, don't try to suppress it, acknowledge it. Next month, we'll talk about how as a leader, you can have effectively managed change by fostering a pleasant workplace. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next month.